not all of its talent quit as they joined one of their leading talent people, Ironmouse, in quitting amid a $500,000 charity scandal. So this company was supposed to deliver $500,000. Okay, so yes, so multiple VTubers have made a decision to leave VShojo just one day after Ironmouse left the organization, alleging they didn't pay $500,000 owed to the Immune Deficiency Foundation. Well, that sucks that they would do something that horrific. On July 21st, which was 2 days ago, Ironmouse shocked the streaming world by announcing she was quitting VShojo. In a scathing YouTube video, the streamer claimed that the VTuber agency owed her money and hadn't paid the Immune Deficiency Foundation the $500K she made through her record-breaking subathon. Following Ironmouse's decision to leave, more creators have publicly announced their departures from VShojo. Good. Good, because that's kind of scummy that they would do that. I mean, again, there's going to be a little bit more of a breakdown here. But hold on, folks. It gets a little bit more spicier because this says a lot about the future of online streaming, a lot of these companies and corporations, and a lot of them seem to be thinking that they could just get away with this. In a series of posts on X, multiple VTubers were signed with VShojo, revealed that they would be quitting as well, with Kuro even claiming that they decided to leave over a week before Ironmouse revelations. I didn't want to say anything until it's finalized, but since people keep making assumptions, no, I'm not staying here. I've already submitted a leave contract and had that meeting 11 days ago. The only reason why I still have a VShojo brand logo on here is because they have to show. Oops, sorry. They have to show. Hold on. Because they have to remove it themselves, and associate, you cannot remove it yourself. Same with everyone, every other member. In any case, I'm just waiting for the contract to be fulfilled and done, but I guess I'm an indie now. So there you go. And so that's what's happening. And so many others are doing the same thing. They're leaving en masse because a lot of these talent agencies are just, well, they have a record of curb stomping people. The VShojo Japanese CEO for now. So she's sad. Very, very sad. So I want to break this down because I want to play a video from somebody who has actually did a great detail, Legal Mindset, who's one of the leading people talking about the online VTuber community, online streaming community. And the reason why I say this is because in real life streaming community, and everything else in between, following YouTube, Twitch, and Kick, this is going to impact us. All right. Many of you may not be seeing this, but trust me on this stuff in that world, that realm. You know, I do dabble a little bit in that world. I check it out here and there, but I just see a lot of that stuff impacting the bigger picture here.
Go through all the facts today and really stick to the legal analysis. If you want to see the full version where I'm playing more video, I play all of Ironmouse's video and I play some other stuff as well. You check out my live version, but this is the abbreviated version for those that want to get just down to the facts. And of course, I've got a PowerPoint. So with this case, obviously it all started with the mouse. And there are two clear things that she dropped in her message that are legally relevant. First is that she has not been paid.
I did see that, but I wanted to play this video from Legal Mindset because this is one of his fast facts, and he breaks it down in a very particular way. And again, this is an important story because it relates to how many of these streaming companies, and in turn other businesses that are on these streaming platforms, how they treat talent, how they handle things. This also is going to impact overall how international content can be used as well. But also, again, when it comes down to charities, because look, Ironmouse, I know that she does have certain ailments. I don't want to say too much. I want to let the video explain for itself. But you know, she did a whole big subathon, and her company VShojo failed, at least as it stands right here, according to this accusation, failed to deliver $500,000 that they owed to the Immune Deficiency Foundation. I mean, that's $500K. That's pretty messed up here, man.
Wages. So she's owed back wages. She's not been paid for a long time. And these payments that she's...
Correction, Corey. Not Legal Eagle, Legal Mindset. Big difference between the two. Legal Mindset for the win.
Owed are in delinquency. They've been owed to her for a long time. She hasn't been paid. And this is something that has been mirrored by other talents. We now have talents such as Kason coming out and saying, I have not been paid for a long time. In fact, I believe she said September of last year, a very, very long time without payments, which is severe, which is significant. So there is an extended period of time with which people have not paid out to the talents. That's a massive, massive problem in and of itself. But the other great problem, and the problem that can have huge criminal liability, is the potential fraud related to the charity, related to the Immune Deficiency Foundation that Ironmouse has always been so vocal for, because it's the cause that represents research that would help people like her and give them a brighter future and hope. And it really was something that she was so invested in. And they decided to take $500,000 and not pay that out to charity. Whatever they did with that, it was not paid to charity. And that is a massive, massive issue. And that's an issue that can see people behind bars, that can have criminal penalties. Absolutely. Once again, these are our allegations at this point, but based on the number of talents speaking up, based on the number of talents that have removed the VShojo branding, we have to, at this point, assume there is some sort of substance behind these allegations. Of course.
Now, I want to pause here because, again, Legal Mind, again, I want to play the rest of this video. To my audience, I know this is stuff that's brand new to you guys. And, you know, the reason why I am covering on this segment, because I don't see a lot of people in independent media covering this. This is a huge deal because the bigger picture is when it comes down to the future of streaming, or either that, let's say you yourself or a family member or a friend of yours wants to set up something up here online, there's going to be a whole wave of guidelines, maybe platforms and rules in which things will apply. Now, yes, of course, there's always going to be criminality. I'm sorry. There's always going to be bad streamers, bad influencers. But the difference here is you have a majority of the talent leaving a VTuber agency. That's a huge deal. Nobody just ups and leave just like that. I mean, this is a huge deal, especially with this charity. $500,000, most of the talent leaving. A lot of these people, a lot of these VTubers have at the bare minimum, maybe 100K followers, and they're doing very good in views. And at the max, millions upon millions of followers and subscribers and supporters and X, Y, and Z. You don't upend anything unless you know something wrong is happening. And there's a lot of things that are happening in real time that is shaking the foundations of VShojo. That doesn't happen. Okay, that doesn't happen unless there is some real substance. So Legal Mindset is absolutely correct here. There is substance happening. I want to play a little bit more of the video.
They are going to have to fight these out. They are going to have to prove this in court or prove this through the regulatory process. However, at this point, going forward and through the scope of this video, understand that I am taking the allegations as credible. For whatever argument you may make of they're not proven yet, whatever, I understand you, but we're going to take them as credible for the purpose of this analysis. So let's continue here. So we had obviously Ironmouse speak up, and then we had Kason get on with the JP CEO. Now, this was very enlightening and actually gives us more of the business side of what is going on at VShojo. It's very clear from this that VShojo is in financial hot water, that they were not profitable. And whatever the distinction was between JP and US, it's very important to note that there was no official legal distinction. That is an internal distinction, the same as a department, for example, saying HR or whatever else, right? Or janitorial staff. It's an internal distinction. It still fell under the control and is the legal responsibility of the headquarters in San Francisco. So the JP branch, as much as that might be a certain amount of talents that was managed by this quote unquote CEO, was not distinguished financially. So those funds that were coming in were being slushed together. So whatever profit JP was making was not offsetting clearly the losses they were taking on the US side or with their other talents. So as a whole, it seems they were in financial dire straits. Now, one big thing that was brought up during this was that the staff was paid and not the talent. There is a very important reason for that, which we're going to get into, which is all of the talents are designated, and this is for almost all VTubing companies. I have not seen one contract, and I've reviewed all of them, including the VShojo contract, Nijisanji, HoloLive, Vector, all the greatest hits from big to small, Face Connect. I've seen all of them. I haven't seen a single contract that has said these people are employees. We consider them employees. They all try to make them independent contractors. That's very important because when it comes to fighting wages and paying wages, you have to pay employees under labor law, whether it's US law, Japanese law, really all around the world, you've got to pay out those wages. But when it comes to independent contractors, well, you can shaft them and then they've got to come and sue you or bring an action against you or a claim against you to try to get those back. It puts a massive burden on them to claim those amounts of money. Now, I have, since the Niji Sanji crisis, been screaming from the top of the hills that this is BS. And I'll put some money in the swear jar for that one. These people are employees. Whether you consider them full-time or part-time employees, they are under the control and authority of these VTubing companies. Now, I understand that there was a lot more anonymity at VShojo than other companies, but you might consider them in that case more like a part-time employee than a full-time employee that's completely controlled by the company. And in that case, they would still be owed wages under a normal analysis. And mind you, just because a contract says that you are an independent contractor does not mean that a particular state or country might not look at the situation, might not look at all the factors and say, under our law, we're going to consider them an employee. It's very important. And I do think in the VTubing industry going forward, this is a massive lesson that all VTubing talent should be considered employees. They should push for being employees. They should say, no, I'm an employee if I'm going to work for your company because you need to pay me and you need to be liable if you do not pay me. And I don't think the Japanese CEO, listening to him, is the villain here. He's clearly not at the top of the rung. He's not the CEO or CFO or COO or CTO. He's at a lower rung of responsibility. He certainly cannot make shots for the entire company. That was not his responsibility. And certainly, by the way, none of the talents are liable for this. This is something where they are the victims, and they do deserve your support and your appreciation. And I will say this about all of them: Ironmouse, Keisan, Henya, everybody, Mitsubishi, everybody. They do deserve your support and love in this time, and also your understanding that they can't say the things that I can say because they're under a different level of scrutiny.
Now I want to pause here. Now, look, folks, there is a lot that's happening. And when it comes down to the legalities and the problems facing the VTuber community, I mean, there's certain things that they cannot say that will put them in hot water. And that is a huge, devastating impact. So what I'm going to play a video for a little bit more, and I'll be putting in my final thoughts. So real quick.
Now, I do hope with some right legal maneuvers, they can finally speak up. And we're going to talk about that today and the way they may be able to speak up. But right now, understand and be patient with them. They need to work with their lawyers in their jurisdiction, or in perhaps California, which is a jurisdiction for VShojo, where I think is very ripe to bring suits and claims, etc. They need to work with their own lawyers to get this done. So be patient with them to get to that point where they will be able to speak. I do believe that time is going to come sooner than later. Sooner than later. So let's continue with this. The best quote I think from this is "Talent first, my ass." That was probably the best Keisan quote out there, period. And I love Keisan. I'm definitely a fan. So one important thing here is that VShojo is an American company. Now we've covered Niji Sanji, we've covered Cover Corporation, big Japanese corporations. And one issue with those corporations is they're Japanese. And if the talent is American or Canadian or really non-Japanese at all, it's really, really difficult to come at those companies. This is not the problem for VShojo. VShojo is an American company, and they're an American company headquartered in one of the states with the most strong consumer protections out there, or strong worker protections, employee protections that are very, very broad out there in all the United States. So this is a massive difference. And especially since many of the talents, particularly Ironmouse, being a American citizen, right? Puerto Rico, still a citizen of the United States, and still able to bring claims, fully able to bring claims in California court, particularly related to labor. This is something where it is ripe for conflict, ripe for either a lawsuit, criminal filings, regulatory filings, because they are in America. And this is why I say they are sunk. This is why I say this is not a Niji Sanji situation. This is not an any color. This is not a Hololive situation, whatever else. And in those situations, with Niji Sanji, I told everybody, hey, when Doki Bird went down, this is not going to be the end of Niji Sanji by any stretch. Same thing when there's bumps in the road with Hololive, right? When Gura leaves, it's not going to be the end of Hololive. However, this will be the end of VShojo. This is very, very much going to tank them because of this and because of their financial situation. And mind you, I will point out one other thing. They were founded in 2020. And what was happening in 2020, and I say this as a corporate attorney who was previously working in a law firm related to issuing bonds that were used by governments and corporations, and then working in-house and seeing a lot of borrowing and corporate debt. During that period of time, corporations were borrowing at insanely low rates. They were drunk on debt and drunk on almost free money, money that was under the cost of inflation. So hell, why not? Let's just borrow as much as possible. So I have no doubt that they were highly leveraged going into this, and they were highly hyped up coming off of the kind of everybody's on the internet during COVID era, and thinking that was going to continue forever. And their financial projections were perhaps unrealistic given the fact that that was a temporary period of time that was over, and there was definitely bumps in the VTuber market as a whole, as people no longer had to be online all the time. And
so as you can see, guys, everyone, sorry about that for the interruption. So there you go. But I do want to say, in regards towards the pain and suffering that we are seeing with the VTuber community, and of course, how much of the content creators are being abused. You know, it's a system of abuse that's been going on since the VTuber community has been going on. And so, number one, stealing is bad. Two, when a corporation promises to a charity and it fails to deliver $500,000, $500K, I mean, that would upset anyone. And look, Ironmouse being a heavyweight in the VTuber community, the fact that she made noise. Now, again, most of the other talent was even thinking about leaving. They were considering going because of just, again, this horrific abuse. VShojo, I mean, how they're going to be operating going forward here in the United States. Unfortunately, I could see, and Legal Mindset says this a little bit further later on in the video, how you have a lot of these companies that could be looking to go overseas, or maybe thinking about, I don't know, setting up operations anywhere else. But look, when you have your lead flagship depart and be unapologetic with their statement, that tells me that there's a huge crash out, a fallout. I am curious to see how VShojo reacts. I mean, they could be very enough to go down, but when they do fail to hold an accountability with their finances, because now that all this stink is being raised up, you know what that means? Government agencies being involved, more people investigating, state and federal. That's how it all comes crashing down. And that's why I like to talk about this entertainment stuff, especially with the streaming community, because it will, in many ways, affect our environment. I mean, we're seeing it now, especially when it comes down to viewers, subscribers, everything else in between. And when somebody does want to set up like a business, or apologies for that, when someone wants to set up a business or do any kind of online content creation, you know, and if you're a business and you're making a promise, especially when it comes down to giving money to charity, and you fail, and your talent abandons ship, it tells me one thing: you better make sure all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, because if everyone's saying it, that means the ship is about to sink. So huge shout out to Legal Mindset. I encourage, and again, Robert Morrison, incorrect. Vast majority, I think a vast majority have already left already, and that is the situation at hand. So Robert Morrison, most, if not, I'm not going to say like 100%. I'll be generous and say 98% have left, maybe, at this point in time. Anyone that's still there is probably now thinking about leaving due to the fact that everyone's talking about this. So Hardlens Media will be following through with this. Please, everyone, check out Legal Mindset's full video and full live stream about this, because this is only the beginning. But